Today's 10-minute sewing project will be on a laminated smartphone stand. Not only though is it laminated, but you can also customize it and make it reversible too. If that sounds like something you'd like to learn how to do, then this is your tutorial. Stick around. Hi friends, Tracy here from the Sewing Channel. Welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. This project is so easy to sew, and it is really useful too. I bought one of these a while ago because I wanted to be able to hold on to my phone, and I also wanted like a kickstand almost. It does not work on a bigger cell phone, so it wants to flop over. I've even moved it and it still doesn't work. But with this cell phone stand that we're going to learn how to make today, has a little channel right here that's flat. There's a cushion here to help cushion the phone if it goes forward, so to speak. Now, I'm videoing on my cell phone right now, so I'm not able to put it in here to show you, so we'll just use the case. It sets in there just like that. There's a few different fun ways that we can make this. We can make it reversible simply by just using two pieces of fabric. This one right here, I don't know if you guys remember my video on shelf lining a makeup bag. I will pop that link right above here if you want to take advantage of that video. We made a super cute makeup bag, a must-have for everyone. But it's made out of the shelf liner and it sews absolutely beautiful. This right here, this is a really cute idea too. This one I actually made for my husband. I pushed the top in. You see it was sticking out, same as like this right here. But what I did was I pushed the top down in, and this is just like a junk drive right here that I stuck in there for right now just to show you that it is like a little pocket. He puts his AirPods or ear pods, or I'm not sure. I don't wear them, so I don't know what they're called, but they're the pod things that hang out and they don't have a cord. So he sticks those here and it fits perfectly, and then when he comes home from work, he sets this here and has the cord coming out and it's charging. I did try something different. Not only did I laminate this right here, the fabric, but what I did was I put some Polyfil back here and I put a string of lights in there, and I just thought that was a cute little fun idea. And then I took my cam snaps, put snaps right here so that you can snap that in and out and turn it off and on or whatnot, whatever you want to do. This is the first one that I had ever made. And then I made a cute little pom-pom. So cute, right? So there you have it, some really cute phone stands. I hope you all really enjoy this 10-minute quick sewing project. Enough talking already. Let's get busy. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and make a template. If you only want to use one piece of fabric, it needs to measure 17 inches by 7 inches. If you're using two pieces of fabric, then you just need to cut one template at 8.5 inches by 7 inches. Notice on this phone stand how the back curves. In order to get that curve, we need to draw it into our pattern. How we're going to do that is first fold the paper in half, and then you're going to fold it in half again. And now from that folded edge, I want you to come out and draw just a curve. You don't even need a ruler really, just kind of trace it out. Then you're just going to trim that curve right off. You should end up with something similar to this. It kind of looks like a V, a flat V on each end. In today's tutorial, I will be using two pieces of fabric because I wanted two contrasting. Our next step is to go ahead and vinyl laminate our fabric. So follow the directions on whatever package you have, either it's the Heat and Bond or the Pellon. Now just regular old contact paper will not work for this project. I've tried contact paper on top of fabric before and it just does not sew well. Now you can certainly make this without vinyling your fabric. You just want to make sure that whatever you stuff it with, that it will be able to go in the washer and the dryer. One of the best perks of laminating our fabric with vinyl is that we can easily clean it and we don't have to worry about what we put inside of it or if we need to throw it in the washer and the dryer. It's easy peasy. If you're only working with one piece of fabric, you can go ahead on to the next step. Take both straight edges of your fabric and line them up and go ahead and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance right down that seam. You should end up with one big long piece just like this. Here I'm going to just finger press a crease in the vinyl so that it just easily lays that way, and then I'm going to go ahead and open it up, push the seam allowance in the back to either side, but make sure it's on either one side or the other, and then we are going to put a top stitch in the top. So you see here I have it pushed to one side. Now you're going to put the top stitch in the side that you pushed that seam allowance to, so it has something to go through, and it looks something like this after you're done. A really nice top stitch. If you're only using the one long piece of fabric, this is the step you need to jump back in on. Grab a ruler and a pencil, and we are going to fold our fabric in half now, just like you see me do, and we're going to measure from the folded edge about 1 1/4 inches. I maybe went a little smidge more than a 1 1/4, and then you're going to draw a line. It should look just like this. From the line you just made, I want you to measure 3/4 of an inch from that line and then draw another line. You should have 2 parallel lines, just like this. After you mark those, we're going to flip it around and put right sides together. Only on one side right here, I want you to measure up that 1 1/4 inches, and I want you to put an X right there. That will help remind you not to sew where that X is. Now we are going to sew both of the sides. Now when you do the side with the clip, be sure to leave a space there. Do not sew where that clip is. This is what we should have so far. It's kind of like a bag almost when you open it up, but what we're going to do is turn it right side out now. And you see here my finger poking through that corner, and that is exactly what we want. And since we can't take a hot iron directly to our vinyl, we're just going to finger press all around all of the edges. And then when you get to that little hole opening, like you see me do right here, we are going to fold the seam allowance in. Make sure both corners are even, and you can do this just by setting it down, taking a step back, and looking at the corners. You don't want one to be shifted one way and one the other way, so just match them up best you can. The next step is to take those 2 lines and sew straight down them, and you should end up with something that looks just like this. In the next step, we are going to take some Polyfil and we are going to fill that first little tunnel. Now you're going to find that little hole that you left open where you put that X where you clipped, and now you're going to just take tiny pieces at a time and stuff that little tube like a sausage. Here I'm just using a pencil to kind of stuff it in there a little better, and honestly it worked, so I just kept on using it. You really don't want to overstuff this part or understuff it really, so it's kind of like medium stuffed, I guess. It should be visibly puffed up, and when you press on it, it shouldn't deflate, if that makes sense. The one thing you want to keep in mind when doing this step is that on the opposite corner, I try to make sure there's enough space in the side part because I'm going to put a tiny 1-inch top stitch there on both sides. So I want to make sure that there's no stuffing in the ends. I hope that makes sense. And once it's stuffed to your liking, go ahead and put a clip in both sides, and then you're going to sew a 1/4 inch top stitch about 1 inch in length. You should have something that looks just like this after that step. Now we're going to turn the project inside out. Now it may seem a bit awkward, but don't shove it all the way in, just enough to where you can comfortably do this next step. And in this next step, what we're going to do is once you have that inside the bag, inside out, you're going to line up the seams, matching them up, just like you see me do here. And then you're going to put a clip in. Now we're only going to sew half of this, just where you see me point there. And it should end up just like this. After you've sewn it, you should have an opening, And now you're going to pull that little sausage that we stuffed. You're going to pull that back out, and you're going to put everything right side out, being real careful when you push the corner in on that turquoise part of the fabric. Here I want to show you an option to weight your project down with. And here's another option with the pennies, and that's what I end up using today. Now how I'm going to prepare this is I put it in a baggie, and then I duct taped around that, and then I even yet took a piece of towel that I had and I wrapped it around and duct taped that. That will help so that when it does set down on something hard, that it doesn't hurt the table or whatever I set it down on. And honestly, I've done it a few ways with different weights, and I think the pennies work the absolute best. I mean, I may have $1's worth of pennies in there, or maybe not even, so you decide on how much weight you would need. Whatever you do end up using, now's the time to stuff it in there. Go ahead and push it in, and then kind of lay it flat while it's in there, and then we're going to grab our Polyfil, and we are going to yet stuff some more. And actually, I first stuff the inside corners as far as it'll go inside of the stand, and then I work around from that. I'll put some on top of my penny pouch and some underneath, and that way I can turn my stand either way. It's reversible, so I can use the floral print or I can use the turquoise plaid, and it won't matter which way the pennies are inside because I've stuffed both sides adequately the same. The only thing you really need to take note of in this step is that you can absolutely overstuff this stand when it comes to this step. So that's why I'm kind of squishing it and pinching it to make sure to see how much I want it stuffed. So just use your best judgment. I'd say, again, medium stuff, not overstuffed, but not understuffed. I hope that makes sense. Now here again, we are going to fold in our seam allowance, making sure that the poly stuffing is far from the seam that you're going to sew. So that way it just makes it easier to go through your sewing machine. Put a clip on it once you have it where you would like it, and go ahead and take it to your sewing machine and sew up the other half. Now I will tell you that this was the hardest part of the project for me. Not that it's technically difficult, but it is kind of hard to push this bulky piece of stuffing through your sewing machine, even though that's not the part you're sewing. So just squish it down and maneuver it best you can in order to get a nice seam along that edge. And after that's all sewn, you should end up with this cute little phone stand. And honestly, you can put this in every room of your house. You could have one to match each room, so that way every time you go into a room, your phone has someplace to go. I just love making useful things, don't you? Let me know in the comments below some more other useful sewing things that we could make. This is a perfect place to set your phone down and watch all of my video tutorials, right? If you've never watched my videos on laminating before, I'll show you real quick on how I get the wrinkles out of the vinyl. First, you get the iron real hot and you iron your ironing board, and then you just run your vinyled item right over it and the wrinkles just disappear. Would you like to be notified every time that I upload a brand new video? In order to do that, you must be a subscriber first, and secondly, you must hit the notification bell. And thirdly, I know, 3 things, you have to go into your settings and allow notifications. So if you are just a subscriber only and you don't have the notifications enabled, YouTube may not end up recommending my video to you until 3 months from now. Crazy, right? If you have any more questions on that, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below, and I will definitely reply back to you. All right, guys, until next time on the Sewing Channel, take care.